Welcome back to another episode of Meet the Creatives, fresh pod for your head top. Kristian thinks I can't knock this out in 45 straight minutes, but I will. Welcome back to the podcast. We're here with Sheps from the What Does Your Mom Think podcast. I just want to say before you say anything that this is a ringing endorsement for your show, and I love what you're building, and it brings me great joy to know that in some small capacity, in the most humble way I could possibly say this, that I had some part of you starting this journey. You're making me proud, bro. Manchester, shout out. Welcome to Meet the Creatives, baby. You did it.
Yeah, bro. Thank you for having me. Yeah, man. Up there again, like with Debbie's podcast and stuff like that. You was the kind of podcast I was listening to when I was back in the UK and stuff like that, and like seeing all the people that you had on and stuff. So I feel honored to be on the other side of it. Thank you for having me, bro. And to be honest, it's nice to be on the receiving end of the pod and see how things go.
Let somebody else drive for a little bit. This is good.
Bro. You know what? Weirdly, bro, I feel a little bit more chilled today than I do. Not that I don't feel chill on that. You know, I'm 50 podcasts deep now. Debbie Millman's episode actually comes out this Wednesday. Debbie's is my 50th episode. I had to do something, you know what I mean, special for the 50th episode. And, you know, I think with that comes, I care so much about what I'm doing and what I'm trying to build with it. That's where the kind of stress comes from. I want to make sure the guests are heavily researched, but not over researched and stuff like that. But yeah, I appreciate it, bro. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited for this. It's going to be so good. All right. So I had the great privilege of being on your podcast, which I said I love. And you did a little speed round in the beginning. And even though we're tight for time, I think this would be super fun to do a quick little speed round just to warm up. What is it? Warm up the old cockles?
What's the old cockle? Listen, you're a fan, bro. I appreciate you, bro. You know what's good. Yeah, warm up the old cockles in my mind.
I'm ready, baby. I'm ready to go to Manchester. Get me a free flight. We'll podcast for flights out there if anyone's listening. Speed round number 1: coffee or tea?
Tea.
Yeah, I would say tea, right? Yeah, got it. I feel like you might be like disowned or like banned from coming back to Manchester if you said anything else. Morning person or night owl?
I can do a bit of both, but recently I'm mornings. I like taking ownership of mornings.
Yeah, when you have a kid, that's no longer an option. I've never been a morning person, but I'm forced to. So, design on paper or design on screen? Are you like a notepad guy, or are you like go right into Photoshop? What's your thing with that?
Yeah, I like a sketch. I like an idea stage. I like making a mess.
New York or London?
Oh no, you're putting me on the spot,
Let's
bro.
go,
it's
baby.
Hard, isn't it? I think. You know, that's hard to say, really. I mean, definitely.
Come on, speed round.
I'm gonna say. You want to say
New York, and you're just you're hedging your bets for your.
I'm gonna say London.
Right, fair enough. You say so.
It's not personal. It's not personal.
Yeah, let's go, New York, baby. I've also never been to London, so that could be it. Favorite font. Favorite typeface?
You know what? Weirdly, I've always liked Hobo.
I can totally see that. Somebody has like a version of Hobo that's kind of fun. I forgot who it was. Ono Type, I think, has it. I'm pretty sure. Shout out Ono Type. Shout out San Francisco, Oakland, all that area. Outside of design, what is your favorite podcast right now? Other than Meet the Creatives, can't be Meet the
Creatives. What am I listening to? I like Chris Williamson, Modern Wisdom. I like a couple, to be honest. I'm aligned with that. I like Diary of a CEO. And of course I love Debbie's Design Matters.
Who's a designer that everybody should know? Who's like a designer that people kind of sleep on that you've met in your journey? Maybe somebody, a previous podcast guest from the What's Your Mom Think podcast.
Who should everybody know? Who should everybody know?
We can cut it.
And there's no cutting. You can keep my ponder in, bro. I want to make
you kept my. You know what? This is payback because you guys kept my pondering in. It sounded so good, and then you left me like this.
No way. We never did you that. That's Michael.
Roll tape. Roll tape.
I'd like to say my friend Miles Marshall. The reason I say Miles is he was like he believed in me at TD. He kind of like gave me my first opportunity there. He was like, I think he was like senior or DD when he gave me my placement, and there is like ECD top of it. I've actually just had him on the podcast on the weekend, so that's why he's probably fresh top of my head.
There you go.
But yeah, not many people know about Miles because he's not like shouting his name from the rooftops
Yeah.
and that. But he's a very caring leader. So yeah, I'd say Miles Marshall.
That's usually the case. That's good. So awesome. All right, well let's jump right into it. We're flying blind here today. You were very adamant about getting the questions ahead of time, and I failed you, bro. But I promise you, it's going to be a nice, easy podcast for you. So, I see so much of myself in you, and your, trying to grow this thing. And now that you're going it alone, and I had meeting Michael and you guys was incredible. Shout out to Michael and everybody. But now you're going it alone, and I can kind of sort of as an empath, I could sort of feel the anxiety and the excitement around that and stuff like that. But originally when you set out to do this, like, what was your intention? Was it to meet more people? Was it to sort of get like a better design job, to get answers to questions? Like, what was sort of? I know that you and Michael went about this together, but from the beginning of that journey, 50 episodes, and now you're going it alone. What is sort of like the driving force behind all this?
Yeah, man, great question. So when it started, I was freelance in London, 2 years deep. I think 2 years deep into my freelance career. We was coming out of the pandemic. I was trying to get to New York. I had this thing about, like, I've been in London for 10 years. And I just felt like I was just lacking inspiration around me. And like, I've got some solid mentors and whatnot, but I wanted fresh mentors. And like what you mentioned then, I wanted to meet new people. Again, I was listening to your podcast and stuff, and like, trying to get these insights. And I was like, well, there's loads of questions that Rob hasn't asked that I'd like to ask in my way.
I love that.
Saying and stuff like that,
yeah.
Respectfully. And
no, that's what I want. That's what I want. Yeah.
For sure. That's what. And so it came from that, really, a lack of feeling inspired. And then, bro, we sat on it for so long. I came up with a name, like, what does your mum think? Ran it to Michael. I was running around the apartment, right? That's it. And I think we sat on it for a good fucking 8-9 months before we even did anything with it. Did the logo. And I've always had the attitude of, like, create the idea first, and then don't worry too much about getting everything else perfect in it. So we did it. We finally filmed the first episode, and that kind of the name came from like a metaphor from your average consumer. My mum's also my best friend. Michael's got a very similar relationship with his mother. And
I watched the podcast. Shout out to all the mums out there, moms worldwide.
Mums here, man.
It was good. It was really cool. It was so cool, like so pure, as we would say here in the States. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. My mum's my best friend, and it was that kind of thing of, like, I think everyone wants to make the mum proud in some way, shape, or form. And I always remember when she first held something that I'd done and things, and we designed it's quite tangible, isn't it? I guess in some cases. So yeah. So that was the birth of it, really. Long story short, I guess, like, just feeling very uninspired, wanting to meet new people, and do something that scares me a little bit and put myself out there.
Absolutely. What does your mom think, though? Like, what has your mom said? I know you guys did that podcast on the record, but, like, what does she think of this? I'm curious. That's sort of the central thesis is, like, what does your mom think? Like, what has she said about it? What does she feel?
Well, yeah, that's the biggest driving factor. I mean, another thing, obviously, I live in New York now. I'm from Manchester in the UK, so I release an episode every Wednesday, so my mum gets to see me on a podcast with you, on a podcast with new people that I'm meeting and stuff like that, and she gets to keep up to date with me in that sense. My mum's hella proud, man. She's my biggest fan. She always has been. My whole thing with it is like stories from the heart that make mums proud, and if I can latch out not just my mum, but making other people's mums proud too, it is a sick thing. But yeah, she's buzzing, man. I never feel like I'm doing enough in it. Do you know what I mean? I'm a very ambitious character, and and my mum she constantly reminds me how well I'm doing and how much I'm pushing through, and even if I don't realize it myself.
I mean, to your mom's point, I mean this sincerely. I know that I'm kind of, like, I always have this sort of a jokey, sort of bro-y New York type energy on this podcast, but in all sincerity, I don't think that, and I want to sort of give you your flowers on this, I don't think that you actually, at the risk of sounding rude, I don't think that you see it, how great and how much you're able to facilitate. When you're on episode 300 and you listen back to episode 50 of Debbie Millman coming out later this week, Wednesday, you're gonna be able to feel it a little bit. So as your older bro, I'm here to say that in time you will be able to do it. But I can totally relate to this sort of the angst and the nervousness about that. The list of people that you have put together for the podcast has been nothing short of amazing. As somebody who has tried to like go out and get in touch with these people, I know that it can be kind of hard, but I mean, you know, just off the top of the head, you got like Debbie Millman this week, Alex Center, Rich too. You know, a lot of these people, and if I'm going to have this same experience, they could be like heroes of yours. And, you know, could you sort of maybe speak to like what it's like when you get to meet somebody who you really look up to? And actually, my first time I ever met you is when you met Brian Collins. By the way, if you're playing the Meet the Creatives drinking game at home, take a shot. I just said Brian Collins in the podcast. I think I brought him up on every single podcast. Now I'm just doing it just to troll people and piss them off. My first impression of you actually ever, and this might be fun for the pod, was I was doing a live event and you sat down right next to Brian Collins, and you know, he's a really super intimidating guy, and you were just like, "What's up, Brian? Good to see you, buddy." Like, hands on his shoulders and stuff. I'm like, this kid is like, wow, it's crazy. So you've certainly got a lot of chutzpah and drive, but you know, what's it like sort of meeting your design heroes? I mean, I know my own personal experience, but what's it like for you? And also, who are some of the people that you know, maybe we're manifesting today? Shout out to the last episode. I'm a fan, bro. We're manifesting today. Who would you like to see on the podcast? So question number 1 is what's it like to meet your heroes? Question number 2 is who do you want to meet in the future?
Well, I'll do number 2 first. I'll do number 2 first. I will say when I did meet Brian, I didn't have my hand on his shoulder. I didn't touch him at all, to be honest. Respectfully, I just wanted to. But
he would allow it. He would allow it. No.
Brian, I'd love to have Brian on. The reason I love Brian is because Brian is just unapologetically himself, and I really vibe with people like that. I remember that day that I met him. I just arrived in London. I've just arrived in New York from London, and Collins was having an open house at the studio in Brooklyn, and it was literally my first weekend in New York. I was figuring out how to use the subway, everything. And I got on, I seen this thing, he was doing this thing, and I messaged him on LinkedIn. I was like, can I come through? I've just invited you. He was like, yep, your name's on the list, like, come through. And I'd never spoken to him before or anything, do you know what I mean? And I turned up, and he was stood on the door with his orange hat on. And I obviously knew who it was. And I was like, hi, Brian. I said, is this where the place is? And he turned around. This was before we met there.
Before, yeah, I know.
Yeah. And he turned around, and it was a full like kind of studio. And he's like, what's your name? I was like, Kristian. And he turned around and he's like, hey, everyone, this is Kristian. And he's looking for, if this is the place where the Collins are, whatever. And I was like, oh, my God. So I walked in and like, I had an introduction of Brian. Do you know what I mean? And so that was wild. And it was when Michael Johnson was there.
That's so him, by the way. That's so him, like, coded. Yeah, I love that.
Michael Johnson is from London. So he was doing a talk at Collins. So that was nice. I met Michael Johnson, and I met Michael Johnson's wife, too. And they was both British, obviously. So I had, like, a nice kind of, like, from the UK kind of thing.
Tea and crumpets, yes.
Yeah, all that shit. And then, so to answer your question, Brian Collins, Sagmeister, I'd love Sagmeister on, and and Debbie was. I'm going to get to that in a minute, but obviously the first part of the question. But Debbie was there. But I went to Sagmeister's show in Chelsea the other night, and Debbie was there. I met Debbie. That's the first time I've met Debbie at IRL, and I've had night Debbie. She was like, Have you met Stefan yet? And I was like, no. She's dragged me straight over to him. She's like, Stefan, you got to meet this guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, Jesus Christ. And it's like, these people, bro, are like, you know, being in London, you know, like, you know, your Paul Shares and stuff like that. Kind of hard to reach, bro. Do you know what I mean? And like, so like when I've been out here and I've met these people, it's a bit like, you're like kind of, and like they're the kind of people, obviously, I want to line up for the podcast next to a plethora of other people, obviously, of course. Yes. Because of they kind of like seminally kind of hit the things they were saying when I was a student and things like that, the work they did, the things that they broken when they was designing or when they was creating whatever they was creating. They kind of, you know, it's kind of like, they always say, don't you, like, don't meet your heroes in case, then, you know what I mean? Like, they're not like what you think they're going to be, but.
Yeah. Well, my thing is with that, it's always like, don't meet your heroes because like there's a chance that they may not be awesome. And then it's like, but if they're not awesome, then like if they're not awesome, then fuck them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand.
I try and respect the space in it. So it's like you catch someone on a bad day, and it's like you just caught someone on a bad day in it. Do you know what I mean? Like I try and have good energy all the time, bro. But every now and then, like I might be a little bit introverted and not want to. Do you know what I mean? So, but like when I met Stefan the other night, he was so lovely, and he was so gentle, and he stood around all this fucking work that he was his poster exhibition that he's created, and I stood there all around this work, and it's hard not to. So go to your first question now. When I do meet these people, I just end up forgetting what words to say. I have so much to say, bro, and then like I'm in front of them, and then I want to respect the space, but I want to also introduce my podcast. So I want to take my opportunity, but not pressure someone in the moment. Do you know what I mean? So I'm working that balance out, and but yeah, I mean, like meeting Debbie was a big one. Like I said on the Debbie podcast, I won't go into it too much, but like I used to listen to Debbie when I was in bunk beds in Bethnal Green with Michael on placement in London. Didn't even know what a podcast was. I had fucking wired up headphones in. I used to fall asleep listening to Debbie's voice literally every night of the week for my placement, give or take. Do you know what I mean? I'd be waking Michael up, paraphrasing things. I must have listened to that Bob Gill episode. I could verbatim. I could spit that back to you verbatim. Do you know what I mean? Like one word for word. Do you know what I mean?
I had that with the Debbie and Michael's episode where they talk about folding laundry. I remember that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, you're taking me back. This is crazy. Just to share a quick story on that, I had a similar thing. I remember when I first moved. It's incredible how our stories align so much. My wife got a job teaching in Newark, which is like in Jersey, sort of like the city of Jersey, if you will. And we moved to Montclair, and I remember just feeling like super alone, and I had no friends or whatever. So like this is like kind of crazy. Maybe we'll leave this in, maybe we won't. I don't know. It's a long time ago now. It's like 10 years. So I was there by myself, and my wife was going back and forth doing a whole bunch of different stuff, and so I had a lot of time just like by myself in Montclair. I had a rooftop view of the city, of like the New York City skyline from Jersey. And I remember my wife was out of the house. She was like sleeping over or whatever, like with like her family, whatever. And I took like an eighth of mushrooms, and I had never done psychedelic drugs before. After that, I did I kind of followed that a little bit down the road. Now with the baby and everything, and being like sober, I don't want to do it.
I'm yet to try them yet. I do want a little micro dose in my life. I'm not going to lie. Well, if you ever
do find yourself on a psychedelic adventure of sorts, I was like really, 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 really scared. And I distinctly remember I didn't know what to do, so I put on Debbie Millman's podcast. It was the one thing that like brought me back down to earth. It was like that calm, soothing, and I love that song. That's the same artist as the intro from Mad Men, by the way. It's RJD2.
Oh,
yeah, so it's good. I think we're going to cut the mushroom story. I don't know, though.
Lad, dying your soul, bro.
My in-laws are not going to like it. I know. Debbie Millman saved me from my first bad psychedelic experience. And it was, and then I felt very inspired. I felt very calm, and I felt very centered in the New York design community, so that's good. All right. Also, there's everything into the shot every time I say Debbie Millman, too. Debbie Millman and Brian Collins. I just cannot get through a podcast without bringing up the two pillars that helped me start this thing. All right, let's get back to you. When you're interviewing people and you're kind of trying to find like your voice, what has that journey been like for you? Because I know, like for me, when I first started out, it was like sort of like mimicking other people, right? Like I would sort of like mimic like Debbie, or like at the time, this is like 10 years ago, so I would do something like Joe Rogan and stuff like that. And if you listen to those early episodes, you'll hear that sort of seep in. Do you have that experience too, where you try and like sound like other people, or like you're interviewing your questioning style? Are you just being yourself, or are you sort of standing on the shoulders of giants sort of thing?
You know what, Rob? I wouldn't say I'm emulating anyone as such. I am someone who's a deep believer in just authentically being yourself. So I have these kind of like mum's house rules, these mummisms, or whatever you want to call them. Do you know what I mean? Like when I'm on a podcast and stuff. And curiosity is like one of them. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I just stay curious with my approach. I am genuinely, everyone I get on this podcast, I don't get anyone on for clout or anything like that. I always do a section at the start of every pod now going forward where I tell them a little story about why I wanted them on the podcast, like there and then. Do you know what I mean? I do the intro separately where I shout all the accolades and da-da-da-da-da. No one wants to hear that. Do you know what I mean? I just do it on my own. Do you know what I mean? When I get them and I go, 5, 4, 3, 2, I kind of like, Rob Johnson, da-da-da, right, this is why I wanted you on the podcast. I did with you. Like, I used to listen to you, like, da-da-da-da-da. Do you know what I mean? So, but going forward now, I study people who I admire the research style of. There's this guy called Speedy from Complex. I love, he's interviewed Barack Obama, well,
I know him. Yeah,
he's done so many people, bro, like loads of rappers, and he just keeps it. His interview with Barack's amazing. I've listened to that one a couple of times, but I just love his level of cheekiness, but then his level of like seriousness, and I think I connect with his style. And I was always conscious, Rob, as well, I don't want to be respectfully like anyone else doing this in the creative space. I want to be like myself. Do you know what I mean? If I was going to emulate yourself or like Debbie or Katie Cohen, who runs Creative Boom in the UK, she's actually from Manchester. Big up Katie, she's sick.
She could be the person who gives me the free flight podcast. Let's do it.
Katie's awesome.
Manifesting. Katie, hit me up, bro. Let's
go. You should try and get Katie on. She's amazing, Katie. She's doing really cool stuff and been doing Creative Boom for years, and she's pushing that publication for years. But yeah, like they're doing their thing in their lane. Like I'm finding my lane, bro. And like going forward with it now, like I've just started doing like street interviews in New York, and the whole idea of what does your mom
Those are awesome, by the way. I might have to do some version of that. Just full disclaimer. I'm standing here on the pod. That's so sick, bro. I love it. It's amazing.
I appreciate it. So it's like, what does your mum think was this metaphor for your everyday consumer? So it's kind of like I've been going around New York and asking what New York thinks. When I go to Miami, it's going to be what does Miami think? When I go to LA, it's going to be what does LA think? You know what I mean? And it's still the same idea. But, just asking people if they actually, I love design, I love branding, I can nerd out on a Wes Anderson film, all the details that Annie Atkins has designed on the film and whatever. I'm a nightmare to watch films with. But, my whole element is like, well, do other people actually give a fuck? Do you know what I'm saying? So that's the angle and again with that, so I look at people who are really good at doing street interviews. I study things that perform well on TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that, and then understand how I can do it my way and make it my own.
Bring it yourself, for sure. Yeah, I think I was also sort of like mad young when I started. So I think that you're 28. You said 28.
Fucking hell, bro! I'll take it. I'm 32, bro. I'm 33 this year.
32? Yeah. Okay. So you started this journey like a little bit old. I think I was still in that sort of like that early, 20 years old. You're trying to like look for heroes.
I've got a perspective. I've got a perspective on that too. I think there's definitely a place where you can start it when you're young and just have an unconventional way of doing it in your own way. I think with being older, I think sometimes you can try and be a little bit too calculated and forget to take the risks that are necessary to just from like, I find in my 30s, I'm early 30s, but like this is when I've known myself the most. I know who I am. I know what I want. I know where I want to be. I know what I need to sacrifice. When you're in your 20s, when I can only speak for myself, obviously, but when I was in my 20s, very much looser and very much kind of lost and like have some form of a direction, but it's changing all the time, like da-da-da-da-da. And so I don't think there's a right or a wrong. I just think there's different ways there's more than we say in the UK. I think there's more than one way to strip a cat or swing a cat.
I knew that was coming. My friends from the other side of the pond always say it's so funny. I love that idea of the being on the street thing. I really think that's your sort of the thing that you're really good at. And I think that part of getting older is sort of like getting stuck in things. And I think that we came from, like for me, so much of my early podcasts were referencing sort of like the audio podcast or sort of like that high end with the Shure, like MV7 mics and stuff and all that. But now I think that the culture has kind of shifted with TikTok and with the on the street sort of interviews and stuff like that. And I'm always sort of thinking about like the next way that I could iterate and make things more fun. Like even as for my own personal business, like for wedding DJs and for doing that, I'm thinking like rather than constantly soliciting myself and trying to make myself look cool, how could I sort of provide value for the people that are listening? And I've kind of had that same thought of like, how do I get people involved in a more casual, fun, sort of NPR Tiny Disc concert kind of way? As opposed to something that's sort of buttoned up, you know?
Yeah, there's more. Again, there's more ways. There's multiple ways to cut it, isn't there? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, I think for me, the street interviews is something I love people, bro. Do you know what I mean? Like when I went out last weekend, I've just put the first episode out now, and I'm also chopping them into my podcast episodes as well. So it's becoming a bit more of a dynamic episode instead of it just being a flatline episode, you know. And and it's amazing, like the people that I met this one guy on Washington Square Park who had just created a clothing brand, and he was out there just shooting content for it. He had it all on. He gave me some sample socks and stuff like that. And
that's awesome.
Lucy, it's called. Big up Lucy. Check out Lucy. And yeah, it's just like people doing shit. And it's like, I seen him doing his thing. It inspired me to get my tripod out and be like, right, let's film some shit. Because it's fucking hard, bro. It's fucking hard. Like, and then I put the episode out today. Well, you know, I chop it up yesterday and I put it out today. And then I'm trying to figure out what time's best to put it out. But then I think, fuck it, just put it out. It doesn't matter. The algorithm, leave it to itself. Let's try and stop beating the algorithm. And you know what? I'll go again next weekend. I'm going to go out again next week, especially when it starts, sun starts hitting again, and it's like the city's thriving. New York's a great place.
It's going to be thriving, bro. This is going to be your first post bad winter New York spring, and it's going to be incredible.
Bro.
Wait till you see it. It's amazing.
The energy is unmatched. Where like even like last weekend when I did start shooting them interviews for the first time, like the just energy of people is crazy. I didn't have one person. Maybe I didn't ask enough people, but no one said no to me. Some people was a little bit in the cells because obviously maybe it's not something that they do, and I think it's up to you then as a good interviewer to make these people feel comfortable and and whatnot. And which I'm again like learning. But like my point being to all this, what I'm saying now is like I run towards things that make me feel that feeling in my belly of like cringe or like scarcity or whatever it is. And if I get that feeling, I know it's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? And if someone's watching me from the other side of the road and pulling away or whatever or something, then that's on them, bro. Like you're not supposed to understand it. Because like I walk through the city and I see people shooting like short films in LES and stuff like that, and that you can see that, and I just find it so inspiring, bro. I almost want to go to these people and just say like, big up for doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, fuck everybody, just do what fucking lights you up inside, bro. Like, and that's just what I'm on, bro. And I like I said, I believe in this thing so much, and I love it so much. So, you know, fuck them. I'm just gonna keep doing it.
Exactly. You have a positivity about you, but it's met with this sort of tenacity. How do you sort of maintain that positivity and that outlook? Is that sort of just how you wake up, or do you sometimes like struggle with your mental health and stuff like that? Like, where's this all coming from? What motivates? What's inside, bro? Go deep. Give me the real.
Man. Yeah, for sure, bro. I just understand, bro, that I can't control someone else's energy. So, you know, if I'm in a room, I understand myself well enough. And I learned a lot of this through Michael and having a close friend like Michael too and things. I remember when Michael told me, right, when I first walked into university, right, I had a fucking Gucci man bag on, a red jacket. I was loud as fuck. I was obnoxious. Not even in like a disrespectful way, just like, I was like a bull in a china shop, just like knocking things over without really realizing it. Now I'm a little bit more conscious of the energy that I can bring into a room. So, and I'm also conscious, right, of like, I can't please everybody, and I'm also hella conscious of, you know, I can present in work and a work dynamic. I can present a piece of work to someone, right, and someone can love it, and someone hates a strong word, but like saying dislike it. Someone can like it, and someone can dislike it. Neither of these people are wrong, really, or dislike me, should I say, like me or my energy or whatever it is, and neither are wrong. It's just, you know, we're all different people, and like you know. If you don't like me, that's a personal problem on your side of things, and you can sit in that, bro. You know what I mean? Like usually the ones with like the most opinions about what you're doing aren't really doing shit. From my experience, anyway, it's like
100%.
I'm really doing shit anyway. So I just, you know, again, I control my own energy, and I try and be the optimist in the room as much as I can. But like sometimes things do weigh down on me. And, you know, and I think that's the hard thing about sometimes I've noticed in my life, I am very extroverted, yes. But sometimes my anxiety hides behind my extroversion. I take control of myself and my mental health sometimes a little bit more. Say, for instance, I walk into a room sometimes I can get a feel for that room better if I'm like speaking and I'm like, you know, not obnoxiously, but just like speaking, hi everyone,
Or controlling it,
yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like speaking, whatever. And I've been Mel Robbins. I'm paraphrasing Mel Robbins a little bit from some of the stuff I'm saying there, and she reassured my thoughts that this book that I've been listening to recently. But again, like this whole idea of around like dare to be disliked, and it's the patterns that I see in good leaders. Do you know what I'm saying? So like I have a lot of leaders on this podcast. Do you know what I mean? And I think if you're a people pleaser as a leader, you just I don't think you're the best leader that you could potentially be. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think look at Steve Jobs. Look at Steve Jobs, bro. I'm not saying I want to be like Steve Jobs, but like look at the way Steve Jobs, like fucking loads of people hated him, should I say? Or hate's a strong word. Disliked him, maybe. Well, look at what he fucking created, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, again, I'm not just going to start rolling off leaders in my head, but like, I like 50 Cent says in it, love it or hate me. Do you know what I mean? Just don't sit in the middle of it, because I'll use both of them as energy. But yeah, you know, being this extroverted sometimes, like, it doesn't mean that I don't get anxious when I post something on fucking Instagram. It doesn't mean that I don't fucking sit here editing a podcast and get fucking horrible about every that I say and things like that. Like that stuff hurts my head. Do you know what I mean? I've got really bad OCD, bro, and I'm not someone who everyone says they got fucking OCD, don't they? But like, my dad suffers with it. My dad suffers with it bad, and it really affects a lot of my life, lad. And you know, everything, relationships, my eating habits, my training habits, everything. I try to achieve perfection in everything that I'm doing. So
you're a big schedule guy. You had me looking. I was like,
yeah,
man, 100%. I gotta be there.
I need, you know, I need to, you know, I like being in control. I've got OCD, bro. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
there we go. Now the truth comes out. Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
I love it.
I've had years of therapy, bro, like working these things out, bro. And like, again, like, I'm 32 years old. I don't run away from anything, bro. If I feel a certain feeling, I run towards it, lad. I sacrifice so much. I'm sober as fuck. I don't smoke weed. I don't drink alcohol. I eat clean food. I train martial arts daily. You know, and again, if someone's got a problem with that, bro, then that's on them.
People who are winning and are successful, I think a lot of times have a lot more grace and empathy for people that are trying to figure it out. And I always tell students, it's like, you're at college and like there might be a lot of naysayers, or you might have professors who sort of have sort of like antiquated, outdated sort of thinking. Get out in front of people who you like and you admire. And it's like, yeah, like, you're gonna be a little awkward. You're gonna say too much, or like you said, like for us, like guys who like to be like extroverted, sort of control the situation. You might talk too much, say too much, or like whatever. But people that have their shit together really have a great, and sort of have that emotional intelligence, that EQ. They can navigate your intentions and see, like, Kristian might be a little crazy. He might be here with a fluorescent orange Prada bag, but he is, I don't know why I said Prada. I don't know nothing about fashion, obviously, but like, he might be a little loud, he might be a little crazy and brash, but he's out here and he's doing it. And like, winners and people that have their shit together see that and go, oh, okay, like, in time he will harness this thing. And that's what's happening with you, like, as we speak right now. It's like the podcast is growing, it's coming to fruition, and now you're starting to see the likes of like Alex Center, Debbie Millman, all these people that are kind of getting, but not in the beginning, maybe not, but now they sort of see that your intent is pure. The record speaks for itself. You're killing it with What's Your Mom Think podcast.
Thank you.
You did, man. I'm so proud of you, bro. This is amazing.
I appreciate it. And another thing, lad, it's not that I'm just on here just talking about it. Do you know what I mean? I'm actually doing it as well. Like, I'm
doing it. Yeah.
I've been designing for 16 years, bro. I've worked at some of the biggest agencies in the world and the biggest brands in the world. Do you know what I mean?
Well, like, so Turner Duckworth, right?
Yeah.
Turner Duckworth. By the way, shout out Joanne Chan, by the way, Hacker on the podcast. Absolutely love. Big up Joanne. You're at Pearlfisher now, is that right?
I'm at Pearlfisher now, yeah, in between. So like, I went to a couple of smaller agencies. I've been to JKR, and yeah, I'm in now Pearlfisher, New York.
Shout out Lisa Smith, and she's moved on to other things, but that's how I got when she was JKR. I was totally obsessed with JKR. You were at some of these agencies for some really, like, their hottest moments. Now that I think of it, like, you were there, like, at all these times, all these huge brands were coming out, like, sort of the goal. And like, for example, like when I watch Mad Men, And then like you hear about like all the different brands and stuff like that, and how it's like they're doing like epic shit. You were there for a lot of epic shit during your time at these agencies. Just sort of knowing like the history of the last decade for some of these agencies you're working at. So all this to say that you're not just talking about it, you really are doing it. And in many ways, I never even did that. So that's cool.
Yes. So to say, I mean, like when I was at TD, I can hold that for TD definitely. But then when I was only at JKR for a short stint. That was a freelance stint, but I got to see the inside of it, which was cool, and get to meet some people from there. And then with Pearlfisher, I think it's a really exciting time now that I'm at Pearlfisher, because when I started Pearlfisher, I think they'd lost themselves a little bit, and now we're coming back on top. You know what I mean? And
for sure,
the work that we've got coming out and the work that I've been involved in over this past 2 years of being there is like really exciting. Me and there's a couple of solid people there and whatnot. The teams are solid. I can't really speak for London, but I know from what I hear, they've got a solid team in London, and we're pushing in the right way. So, it's an exciting time, and I think that's something I've always been conscious of, like going forward too. I'm a designer first, and then I'm a podcaster, and I'm practicing what I'm preaching. Do you know what I mean? So the things that I'm learning at work and the things that I've learned for 16 years of doing graphic design and branding and packaging for, like I said, whatever.
Thank you so much for doing this. Let's wrap this up. Dude, you absolutely killed it. Meet the Creatives, we're here. You're on it. Where can people find you online? What's the best place to get in touch with you? What's your mom think? This is shameless self-promotion time. The one thing I have going through all these podcasts, the through line, is shameless self-promotion time. The floor is yours. Put it all out there, baby. Social handles, everything. Give it to me.
Yeah, there ain't nothing shameless about this, bro. I'm proud of what I'm building.
Bro.
It's WDYMT_official for the Instagram. And What Does Your Mum Think on like Spotify and YouTube and Apple's coming. It's also Sheps Designs Things, again, another Instagram handle where you can find, again, more of my personal design work and my personal kind of design explores, that stuff that I'm practicing. So I'm practicing on Sheps Designs Things, and I'm preaching on WDYMT_official. And I have a TikTok account that I'm pushing through all these street interviews, which you can find me again at What Does Your Mum Think. But yeah,
and that's MUM, just to be clear. It's the Manchester way. It's the MUM, not mom for the Americans. It's What's Your Mum Think podcast.
Yeah, What's Your Mum Think? I got to keep it 100, bro, to the world, bro. Every day, everything's got that logo.
Let's go. Yo, I want some swag, some merch.
Yeah, let's do coming. Like I said, I've got merch coming out soon. I've got neon logos being created, like everything pink, bro. And we're having it.
I got everything orange. I don't have anything. I have my orange land back there. It's over there somewhere. I'm moving into disaster.
But yeah, listen, thank you, Robin. Like I said, again, alongside the plethora of other podcasts, like I mentioned, front and center, Design Matters, Meet the Creatives. Like, I've always seen these as, birthings of What Does Your Mum Think, and listening to all you guys made it possible for me to kind of start this thing and find my own lane with it. So I respect you. Thank you for having me on.
That means the world. And honestly, like I sort of I was at a place in my career where I sort of needed a little bit of a push. And during COVID, I did all like this cool shit with like Kristian and everything like that. But it just felt very abstract, and I felt sort of disconnected. So when I came back into Brooklyn, into Williamsburg, and met people like yourself, and all the people that sort of run those circles there, it really fired me up and made me realize that these are real people who are listening. And I owe you a debt of gratitude for that. So, bro, thank you so much. And I just want to say one more quick thing. Your design curation skills, I didn't talk about that in the podcast today, but so you are a sort of a tastemaker, if you will, to use the word that Rich 2 taught me that I kind of hate. But you really know how to curate incredible design. So in addition to all this stuff, you're doing that as well. So make sure you follow him online. Meet the Creatives. He's on to new things. Good boy. We're leaving. Say goodbye to everyone. What's like the British UK way to say like we're out of here?
Safe.
We're cracking on. How would you say?
Safe.
What would you say?
Safe, bro.
Did you say safe?
We say safe, and I touch you down. That's it. Be it safe, bro.
Touch you down. Let's go, Manchester, baby. We out.